So yesterday we have started with creating the what database tables and how to insert the data into what the tables, and we discussed about primary key constraint and what not null constraint, and we also understood that primary key constraint is a combination of not null constraint and unique constraint. Not null constraint means we cannot provide null values. We cannot keep that column value as blank. Unique constraint means which doesn't accept duplicate values. Okay. And we also understood that in HANA we can create the database tables without any primary key. Without any primary key. At later point of time we can define the constraints. Okay. So that is done by using what alter statement that we'll discuss going forward. Now let us see a foreign key relationship. Okay, let's see how to create foreign key relationship in what HANA data between HANA database tables. So if you take our ABAP environment to create the foreign key relationship between two tables, there is one prerequisite. What is that prerequisite? Both the tables should have one field which is having common domain. I repeat once again, in our ABAP, in order to create the foreign key relationship between two tables, both the tables should have at least one field which has got one common domain name. Which has got one common domain name. Okay, and the field names need not be same, but the domain should be what? Same. It is mandatory that the domain name should be what? Same. Done. Now, now let us see how to create foreign key relation between two tables. So let me connect to the system. Right. So this is my ANA Studio. Already I am in what ANA development perspective. ANA development perspective. Right. So as usual in the systems tab, there is one ANA instance here, database instance. Let me connect to the database by providing the user ID and what password. So I'll right click on this HANA database instance, log on, provide the required password, done. So yesterday we have seen that all your database objects we have to group inside a schema. We have to group inside a schema. So we have created one schema by using what create schema statement. So schema can be created only by using the statement. We don't have any UI, we don't have any user interface to create the schema. Compulsorily we have to use a statement create schema. So we have opened that SQL console and we executed the statement create schema, and we created the schema by name what Gensoft SQL. And as part of this schema, yesterday I have created different what tables. We inserted some data. I have deleted all those tables. So as of now, if I expand my schema, if I expand the tables, I don't have any tables. I have deleted all the tables. Okay, right. So anyhow, I have shared that notes with you. Done. Now what is the requirement now? I want to create a foreign key relationship between the two tables. So I require two tables. So let me create a table first. So as usual, what I have to do, I have to open what SQL console. So I'll right click on what my schema name and also open SQL console, or I'll right click on the catalog and also open SQL console. So anything is fine, or else you can see here we have an icon what open SQL for the selected system. So I'll just say open SQL console. It has opened the console. Let us create one table first. Okay, right. So I'll say create table. Let me go for column table. Row table or column table, the purpose of the way we create the foreign key relationship is what same. Why do we create the foreign key relationship between two tables? To maintain data consistency. The reason why we create foreign key relationship between the tables is to maintain data consistency. When the data of one table is dependent on the data of other table, then we need to link the table by using what? Foreign key relationship. So first of all, I am creating one the table. I want to create it as part of my schema, Gensoft SQL. Okay, Gensoft SQL dot. I'll give some what? I'll give some table name. Let me give the table name as something department. Done. Okay, and I'll open this parenthesis and I'll create some fields like department number. Okay, department number. I'll say department number. I'll say int, not null. Okay, or let me directly say primary key. Okay, primary key anyway the combination of what? Not null and what? Unique constraint. So department number, then I'll say department name. Okay, department number and department name, then I'll say varchar of 20. Okay, varchar of 20. I'll close a table. Okay, so this is my initial table. Let me execute this. So how do we execute this? As of now we have only one statement. I can directly execute, or you just select the statement and press what? F8. Press F8. So let me press F8. Yeah, the table got what? Created. So this is the first table which we created, department table. One second, let me document. Done. Right. Then if you refresh your tables section in your schema, the table will be available. Department table, it's a column table. Now let me create another table. Create column table. Create column. So in case of this HANA database, if you want to create foreign key relationship between the two tables, what is the prerequisites? There should be one logically related field. I repeat, in case of HANA database, if you want to create the foreign key relationship between two tables, there should be one logically related field. Logically related field means the field name need not be same. The field name need not be same, but the data type of that field should be same, and the purpose of the field should be what? Same. Okay, so here also field name need not be same. There in ABAP the prerequisite is the domain name between the two table fields should be what? Same. But here the field should be logically related. The purpose of the field should be same. Anyhow, the data type also should be what? Same. But the field name need not be same. So I'll say Gensoft SQL in the same schema I'm creating. Okay, Gensoft SQL dot. Let me give the table name as what? Something employee. Okay, then I'll open this. I'll say some field names employee ID int. Okay, let me give it as primary key, and I'll give another field employee name. Let me give it as varchar of 20, varchar of 20, and then I'll give another field. Okay, here I want to link what fields, department number I want to link. So in the department table, we have what? Department number as the field name. Here also I can take the same name, but again if I give the same name, will I have feeling that the field name should be same. So what I'll try is I'll go for a different name. Let me give it as D number, but the data type should be what? Same, int. Okay, so I want to link these two fields, department number of department table and D number of what? Employee table. Done. Okay, and the in one of the table the logically related field should be what? Primary key. Okay, so I repeat once again, in HANA database, in order to create the foreign key relationship between two tables, there should be one, at least one logically related field between the two tables. Logically related field means field names need not be same, but the data type and the purpose of the field should be same. And in one of the table, the logical field should be what? Primary key. Should be primary key, and that table wherever the primary key field, logical field is primary key, that table we call it as what? Parent table, and on the top of other table we'll create the foreign key. which we call it as foreign key table. So here I'll say department number int. Okay, then here only, before closing this uh, table, I'll say foreign key. Okay, foreign key. Okay, foreign key. On which column you want to create the foreign key? Department number. Okay, it should refer references. These are all the keywords which we have to remember. There is no other alternative. References, or we can check the documentation. References, I'll say, what is the schema? Gensoft SQL. Gensoft SQL dot. What is the other table? Department and department. Then to which field you have to link their department number. Department number. Let me put it in the next. Okay, department number. And then here I'll say I will use one addition called as on delete cascade. Well, I'll explain what is the meaning of this on delete cascade. Done. Close it. So let me check the syntax. Create column table, schema name dot table name, employee ID, primary key, fine, employee name, done, department number int. Okay, so the data type is what? Same. And I want to create the foreign key on this particular field D number, referencing which table? Gensoft SQL department, in which to which column? Department number on delete cascade. Yeah, let me check whether this statement will be created or not. Okay, so when I say F8, done, rows affected is 0, so it might have created the table. So when I refresh my tables section, you'll have two tables here, employee table and what? Department table. Done. Right. Okay, so we have created the table. So if I open the definition from the UI, right click on the table, open definition. Yeah, it has opened. So here department number is what? Key field, and obviously it is what? This thing. Done. And then I'll right click on the employee and say open definition. Here employee number is the primary key field. Done. Okay, employee Gensoft skill. Done, done, done. Okay, done. Yeah, this is not relevant at this stage. Fine. So these are the columns. Okay. So we have created the foreign key relationship between what? The two tables. Okay. Now what I'll do is, yeah. So the link has been established between the two tables. Now let me maintain some data in the department table. So already we know how to insert the data. So I'll say insert into what? Gensoft SQL. One second, let me close this. Yeah, insert into Gensoft SQL dot department values. Let me say one comma. Okay, I'll say one comma. What? SAP. Okay, for my convenience, let me give the department number as 10, 20, 30, and 40. Done. So I maintain the data in what? I maintain 4 records in the table. Done. Okay, so this is my data. Let me execute this. I'll say F8. Done. So duration of 4 statement execution is so and so. So it has inserted the data into which table? Department table. So already we know how to check that content. So if I let me close this windows. Done. Okay, if I go to department table, open the content. Okay, it is showing me what? 4 records. What are the department numbers? 10, 20, 30, 40. Done. Okay, so I am able to successfully insert 4 records into the parent table. What is the parent table here? Department table. And now I'll try to maintain the data in the employee table. So here I'll say insert into what same gensoft SQL dot what employee, okay, dot employee values. How many columns are there in the employee table? Three columns: employee number, employee name, and department number. I'll give the employee name as one, and employee name I'll give it as something, okay. And then what are the available departments there? 10, 20, 30, 40, okay. Now I'll try to give what 50, okay. So try to understand. In the employee table, the value for the department number I'm trying to provide is what 50, okay. Since there is a foreign key relation between the two tables, so what happens whenever we create the foreign key relationship between two tables is it will maintain, the database will maintain referential integrity. I repeat once again, these terminologies are very important. Whenever we create the foreign key relation between two tables, the database will maintain referential integrity. According to referential integrity, it will not allow us to insert the child record when there is no corresponding parent record. So what is the child table here? Employee is a child table. On whichever table we have created the foreign key, that table we call it as a child table. So what is that referential integrity will do? It will not allow us to insert the data into the child record when there is no corresponding parent record. So in the child table, I'm trying to insert that record. What is the common field between two tables? Department number. 50 I'm trying to insert. It will check whether this 50 is available in the parent table. It is not available, so it should not allow me to what? Insert. So let's see that. Let me try to execute this. I'll say F8. Done. Could not execute insert into so and so, so and so, so and so. Why? See here, foreign key constraint violation. Foreign key constraint violation failed on the table so and so with error. Row locking failed on reference table so and so, so and so. Expected row locks, but process row locks done. Okay. So what is saying is foreign key constraint is what violated. Why? Because it is ensuring the referential integrity. I can insert the child record only when there is a corresponding what parent record. So it is not allowing me to what insert this record. So insert what failed. So why it is failed, we understood that. Done. Now let me try to insert the other records. Let me complete this, then you can ask the questions. So I'll give the employee numbers 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll give some names. Done. Okay. Right, this is the data I'm giving. Now I'll give the department numbers as something 10. This I'll give it as 20. This I'll give 10 again. This I'll give something 30, and this I'll give something what 20. Done. Okay, so two employees in department number 10, two employees in department number 20, and one employee in what 30. So it should allow me to what insert. So 10 is there, 20 is also there, 30 is also there. It should allow me to insert these 5 records into the employee table. So let me select and I'll say F8. Yeah, when I say F8, so it is successfully executed. It has executed all the duration of the 5 statements, so and so. Right? So we are able to insert. Let me just copy this. Done. Okay, right. Now, so what is that one point we have seen related to referential integrity? I cannot insert child record when there is no corresponding parent record. Okay, so if you observe the department table, this is my department table. If I refresh, we have 4 records in the department table. When I query on the employee, when I say open content, we are having some 5 records. 2 records in department number 10, 2 records in 20, and 1 record in what 30. Done. Now what I'll do is, yeah, there is another point related to what referential integrity. Once we create the foreign key relationship, referential integrity is maintained. According to referential integrity, it will ensure two things. What is the first thing? We cannot insert the child record when there is no corresponding parent record. Okay. Now I'll try to delete. Let us understand the other point related to referential integrity. So I'll say delete from what I'm using delete statement now. Already we know insert, so delete from gensoft sql. Okay, dot, I'll say something department, and I'll say where department number is equal to what, 20. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to delete a record from the parent table. What is the department number I'm trying to delete? Department number 20. How many child records are there based on this 20? There are two child records are there based on this department number 20. So while creating the foreign key relationship, I mentioned what on delete cascade. Okay, what is the job of this on delete cascade is whenever we delete a parent record from the parent table, it will automatically delete the dependent child records from the foreign key table. I mean, it is a child table. I repeat, the another thing the referential integrity will ensure is whenever we delete a parent record from the parent table, the corresponding dependent records gets deleted automatically from the child table. I mean to say from the foreign key table. Why it gets deleted automatically? Because while creating the foreign key, I mentioned what, on delete cascade. So let me try now. Okay, so before that, employee has got employee table has got two employees with dependent number 20. Okay, and department anyhow we have only one record with 20. Fine. Let me try to execute the delete statement. I'll say F8, done. So done. So you can see delete from so and so got a rows affected is what, one. Okay, rows affected is one. Let me go and refresh the department table. Yes, 20 got successfully deleted. Now I'll go to this one. I'll say refresh. Yeah, 20 all the two records got deleted from the employee table. Okay, so because why it has deleted the child records? Because of the on delete cascade. On delete cascade will do this particular task. Done. Okay. Now what I want is, one second please. Yeah, now what I want is I want to modify my foreign key. Try to understand. I want to modify my foreign key. Means earlier I used an option called as what, on delete cascade. Okay, now I don't want to use on delete cascade. I want to use some other what addition. I want to use some other option. So before I show you that, any questions so far, please ask me. Okay, so if there are no questions, that's what the story I explained, na Vijay. On delete cascade purpose is that on delete cascade means, the meaning of on delete cascade is whenever you delete a record from the parent table, na, that is the story. That is the story of on delete cascade. Cascade means, the general meaning of cascade is automatic reflection. So on delete cascade means whenever we delete any record from the parent table, it will check whether we have any dependent records in the child table based on the parent record. If any dependent records are available, it will delete that also. Why means no answer. That is the default behavior of on delete cascade. The purpose of foreign key is this only, automatic reflection. I am doing the deletion on one table. Okay, it should automatically delete the entries in the child table. That is the job of what, on delete cascade. Not only here, any database, the functionality will be what, same. Okay, done. Now what I want is I want to check what are the constraints available on my employee table. So if you see our employee table, it has got one primary key. Try to understand. Employee table has got what? One primary key and one foreign key. So I want to check the constraints defined on my table. So what I'll do is, so one second. So, so I'll modify it later on. Done. What I'll do is, yeah, you can see in the catalog what we have done yesterday. We have created our own schema. Okay, and you can see there is a predefined schema called as sys. There is a predefined schema called as sys. If I open this, if I open this sys schema, yeah, in the sys, this is a standard schema, predefined schema, which will come with the database, HANA database. So in this sys schema, if you go to the views section, if you go to the views section, yeah, in the views section, oh, nothing is there. No, it's loading. It's loading. It's loading. It may take some time. Yeah. So you can see there are some system views. System views means the views which are provided by the system itself. Okay, so where it is available in schema, sys schema, in the views section, we have many system schemes. It is not possible to discuss each and every schema. We have to do R&D depending on our requirement. Okay, so if you see one of the schema here, yeah, one of the schema is what? Constraints. There is a schema called as what? Constraints. Okay, one second please. Yeah, there are too many things here. Fine. Okay, so I'll go to constraint. Let me go to the definition of this view. Okay, so I'll right click on this constraints view. I'll say open definition. Done. It has opened. So you can see this is basically a view. This is basically a view. What is the view name? Constraints. Okay, done. So this is how they have created internally. So we are not bothered about this. We are not bothered about this at this stage. So if you see the columns, these are the columns available. So what I'll do is, let me try to get the data from this particular views. There are some columns here. You can see what is the schema underscore name, table underscore name. Okay, so what is my requirement now? I want to check I want to check what are the constraints defined on my table. So I'll say, so how do you get the data from a view? By using what? Select statement. I'll say select star from, okay, select star from, I'll say select star from, what is the view name? Constraints. Okay, select star from what? Sys dot constraints. One second, I think I can directly use it. It may recognize. Let me check. I'm not prefixing any schema. Okay, so it would let me check whether it will recognize automatically. Select star from constraints. Okay, okay. If I leave it like this, it may show me what? Too many records. So what I'll do, I'll filter it. So I'll say where what is one of the column? Just now we understood schema. Schema underscore name is equal to what? Our schema. What is that? Gensoft SQL. Done. And what is the other column? We identified table name, and table underscore name is equal to what is the table name? Employee. Done. Okay, so this is a way to identify the constraints defined on the table. Select star from constraints where schema name equal to gensoft skill and table name equal to employee. Let me try to execute this. I'll select this. I'll press F8. Good. Good. So I got it. Good. So you can see the result here. Observe here. I executed my SQL statement. I got the result in the adjacent tab. Yes, this is the select query I executed. Done. Schema name is Gensoft SQL. employee. So column name is what? Column name is what? Employee ID. Okay, position is one. Good, 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 good. Okay. Yeah, you can observe here. Yes, see this. You can observe whatever the select query I fired, it is showing. Okay, one second. Let me scroll right hand side. Good, 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 good. Okay, so you can see, is it primary key, is it unique key, or there is something called as check constraint that we'll discuss going forward. So anyhow, primary key, the combination of what? Not null and what? Unique. So is it unique key? True. Is it primary key? True. Okay, so what you have to understand is this query, it is returning me only primary key constants and unique key constants. It is not returning me what? It is not returning me the referential constraint. Referential constraint means foreign key comes under what? Referential constraint. So let me just copy for your reference. So what it is doing? Returns what? Primary key and what? Unique constraints. Returns primary keys and what? Unique constraint. But what is my agenda? I want to i want to get the referential constraints. Okay, so once again, if you see the result here, this is only a primary, and you can observe here, see the problem with this approach. Okay, at later point of time, I need to modify my constraint. Try to understand the limitation of this approach. Later point of time, I want to modify my constraint, or I want to drop my constraint. So in order to modify your constraint, or in order to drop your constraint, I should know the constraint name. Okay, I should know the constraint name. But if you observe here, when I'm creating this primary key constraint, am I giving any constraint name? No. So automatically system itself will propose the constraint name dynamically. So what is the constraint name it is showing here? This one. So what is the problem with this approach? If I create the constraints like this at the column level, if I create the constraint like this, the constraint name is proposed by the system itself. At later point of time, when you want to alter, I mean to say when you want to modify or drop or whatever it is, then I need to collect the constraint name by executing this collect query. I'll get the constraint name. So it is very difficult to remember this constraint name. This is one limitation. That's why we will generally, it is recommended not to create the constraints like this. Okay, done. But what is our agenda now? I want to check the foreign key constraint, not the normal constraint. So what I'll do is, again, so earlier we queried on what? Constraints view. Okay, so in the same views section only, if you scroll down, see, all these are HANA database only. Am I clear? So we need to do R&D depending on the requirement. You cannot remember, I cannot remember. Okay. So see here, there is one view here. What is this? Referential underscore constraints. Referential underscore constraints. So let me right click on this. I'll say open definition. Yeah, so this is again a view done, and this is the statement at the background. Fine, we are not concerned with this. Yeah, in this also you can see there are some column names like schema underscore name, table underscore name, etc., etc. Done, 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 done. Okay, fine. So let me try to what? Execute that. So I'll say now, select star from what is that left hand side? Referential underscore constraint. Select star from referential underscore what? Constraints, where schema underscore name equal to what? Gensoft SQL, and table name equal to employee. Is it fine? Yeah, schema underscore name and table underscore name. Done, done. Let me try to execute this. Okay, so I'll say what? F8. It's still executing. Done. It has executed. Fetch one row. Done. Done. This is the result. Select star from so and so. Yeah, good. Yeah, you can observe now. Schema name, so and so done. Done. Yeah, on which column you have created the foreign key? On the employee table, D number only. What is the constraint name? Again, it is dynamically proposed by what? The system itself. And you can see here. You can see here. This is nothing but the what? Yeah, referenced done. Yeah, you can see referenced constraint name. Reference means you have to understand that is what? Foreign key. Okay, good. Good. Delete rule. Yeah. Delete rule is cascade. Update rule is restrict. Okay, I'll come back to this. What is the delete rule here? Cascade. What is the meaning of delete rule here? When I delete a record from the parent table, it should automatically delete it from what? Child table. That is the meaning of this. Then one more thing here called as restrict. I'll come back to that. Done. So how to get the foreign key constraints defined on a table? By querying from a system view called as what? Referential underscore what? Constraints. Referential underscore constraints. Okay, so before I continue further, if you have any questions so far, please ask me.
Hi, Sridhar Kamlesh here.
Yeah, Kamlesh.
Yeah, actually, we are inserting values using insert statement, right? If you want to insert a bulk of values,
No, no. See,
then we follow.
see, this course is for 45 days. This course is for 45 days. Okay. So when we go to procedures, all those things, then we'll see how to deal with what multiple. At this stage, we don't know what is a procedure, how to create, we don't know how to call it. So how to manipulate bulk amount of data, how to insert bulk amount of records, all those things we'll discuss when we go to procedures kind of thing. As of now, we are trying to understand the semantics of what simple SQL statements.
Okay, then there is one statement you have opened one parenthesis in the beginning,
This one.
and yeah, down create column table
Hmm.
for employee table. Yeah,
Correct. Hmm.
but we haven't closed it. So even though
No, no,
system
no.
not
Like,
showing.
I closed it here, na, Kamlesh. I opened here. I closed it here, na. I closed it here.
Okay,
I closed it.
okay. Yeah, fine. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And if we have some semantic errors in our the statements,
Mm-hmm.
even though system allowing us to execute it. So if we
No,
have some error statement
no,
at
no.
the line numbers,
Yes, yesterday we got the errors, na. It will show the errors. It will show the errors. If
yeah,
hmm.
it will show, but we kept the statement like that only, and we executed the
Correct, correct.
next
Yeah.
next step.
I am not executing all the statements of the console at a time. Na. Whichever statement I want to execute, I am selecting that only. Okay. Even though I kept this error statement as it is, I am not executing this once again. Na. That's the reason every time I'm selecting this. Why I'm not deleting this is I want to keep it for your reference. That's the reason. Whichever statement you want to execute at the current point of time, you select that and execute. So don't bother about the existing statements.
But we are keeping the error statement like that only. If
But
sometimes
execution,
later,
execution you are doing which statement? The selected statement, na?
yeah, yeah,
Then,
I understood that.
mhm.
If we are doing some in latter point of view, we are doing some debugging, then
No, no, no.
the
So
error statement is
once again, you cannot debug these statements. First of all, how can you debug these
yeah, yeah,
statements?
yeah, correct. But I mean to ask is if we have some report kind of thing and we kept the error statement like that only. So
Obviously,
in that case, I'm asking.
obviously, a report or a procedure or any block is a collection of statements. There, I cannot execute individual statement. I need to execute the entire entity at a time. So at that time, obviously, it will give me the syntax error. So till I don't get any once I remove all the syntax error, then only I can what execute. So in case of that reports, in case of procedures, where the developer should ensure that all the statements are syntactically correct. Then only you can execute the entire block of statements. There obviously it will stop you.
So, okay. Okay. Got
Understood?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank-
Yeah, others readouts. Done. So, okay, if there are no routes, fine. So what I did so far, I collected the normal constraints. I collected what? What? Referential constraint. Okay, I collected the referential constraint. So I got what? Some result. Let me just, 1 second. Yeah, let me just collect this constraint name. This is my constraint name. Let me just copy it. Okay, I'll just double click on this. I'll just copy this because I want to alter. Right. This is the constraint name. What constraint? Foreign key constraint. Okay. This is a foreign key constraint available on my employee table. So what is my requirement? While creating the foreign key earlier, what is the addition I used here? On delete cascade. On delete cascade. Now I want to what? Drop this constraint. I want to drop this constraint. So see this. See the technique here. Okay. So I want to drop the constraint. Observe this. I'll say alter table alter and I'm introducing another statement here. Alter table what? Gensoft SQL dot what is the table name? Employee. Alter table so and so. Done. Then as part of this alter, I'll say drop constraint. Sorry, drop a constraint. Yeah, drop constraint. What is the constraint name? Let me refer it back. Constraint name. Done. Okay, done. Okay, not single quotes, double quotes. I think double quotes. Close the semicolon. Let me check. Alter table, table name. Drop constraint, constraint name. This is my SQL statement. Done, done, done. Okay. Let me execute this now. I'll select this line only. Okay, this statement only. I'll say F8. Good. Okay, successfully executed on what? So and so. So it might have what? Dropped the constraint. What constraint? Foreign key constraint on that particular what table. What I'll do, let me execute this once again. So earlier when I've executed, it has shown me, one second, let me close everything. It has shown me the foreign key constraint. Now since I dropped, let me re-execute this. I'm selecting this. You practice in the same sequence. Okay, so I'm re-executing. So when I say F8, done. Good. So you can see now it is not showing me any constraint. Now it is not showing me any constraint. Done. Now what is my requirement? My requirement is I want to add the constraint once again. Already the table is available. So in the initial stage, what I did, as part of creating the table only, I have added the constraint. So now I'll say here, I'll say, yeah, again I'll say what? Alter table. Alter table. What is that? Gensoft SQL dot employee. Gensoft SQL dot employee. What? Add constraint. Add constraint. Add constraint. Done. Yeah, now the advantage of this approach is, in the earlier approach the constraint names are proposed by system itself, which is difficult to remember. Now since I am adding the constraint explicitly by using alter statement, I will have the provision to give my own constraint name. So I'll give the constraint name as some meaningful name. I'll give fk underscore emp underscore department, whatever you want to give it. Okay, fk underscore emp underscore department. Then also what? Foreign key. Foreign key. What is the column name in employee? D number. references what gensoft SQL dot what department done. Then in the parentheses I'll say department number. Okay, in employee table D number and department number done. Acha, there are two things here. I can do like this. I can stop it like this. Okay, earlier if you observe, while creating the foreign key relationship, I used an addition called as what on delete cascade. Now I am not using any addition called as what, I am not using any addition here. So if I don't use any addition, by default it will take it as what on delete restrict. By default it will take it as what on delete restrict. Okay. Otherwise also, if you want, you can give it. What is the earlier I gave on delete cascade. Now I'll give on delete what restrict. Even if you don't give this, even if you don't give this, by default it is what on delete restrict. Okay, so let me execute this now. We'll understand the meaning of on delete restrict. Okay, so I'll say F8 now. I'm executing. Done, it has executed. Done. Okay, now let me check the referential constraint once again. So I'll just copy it here for your reference. Done. Let me execute now. I'll say F8. Sorry, select this and say F8. Right, I'm saying F8 now. It is taking some time. Good, so you can see now what is the constraint name, my user defined name. What is that? Fkey underscore emp underscore what, Fkey underscore emp underscore what department. And this is the, yeah, you can see now this is important. Yeah, delete rule is restrict, update rule is also what restrict. Earlier delete rule was what cascade. So even if I don't use on delete restrict, by default it is what restrict only. Okay, done. So I got it. Now let us understand the meaning of what on delete restrict. One second. Yeah, I've dropped the constraint. So you practice in the same sequence, whatever I send you to mail, done. So now, before I do any changes, let me check the data now. Let me go back to my table. So we understood two system views, constraints and referential underscore constraints. Constraints will show normal constraints. Referential constraint will show the referential constraints. I mean to say the foreign key constraint. Okay. So let me go back to my schema. Yeah, this is my department table. Let me query the data. These are the data available, and this is my department table. This is the data available. Okay, so if you see the department table, we have 10, 30, 40. 10 has got, what is the department number 10 here? Do you have any dependent child records here? Yes, we have two dependent child records. Okay, so earlier what happened, when I deleted 20, it has deleted all the employees whose department number is what 20. But now what is the signature of my foreign key? Signature of my foreign key is what on delete restrict. Okay, so let me just copy this. Yeah, now I'll say delete from what gensoft SQL dot department, where department number equal to not 2010, equal to what 10. Okay, so I repeat, here we have 10 in the department table. There are two dependent records. Now it should not allow me to what delete the record from the department table, because there are corresponding child records. And what is the signature by default? On delete restrict. It will not allow us to delete the parent record when there are corresponding child records. Okay, let me cross check. I'll execute this. F8. I'll say F8. Done. Could not execute so and so, failed on update or delete by what? Foreign key constraint violation. Done. Okay, so understood what is the problem? Because of what? On restrict. Okay, hope it's clear to everyone the meaning of on delete restrict. Now what I'll do is, let me quickly drop it once again. I'll drop the constraint now. Alter table, table name, drop constraint. So I know my constraint name. What is my constraint name? F key underscore emp underscore what? Department. F key underscore emp underscore what? Department. Okay. So this is the advantage of proposing our own constraints. I can easily manage them. Okay. So let me try to execute this. Done, 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 done. Okay. I'll say F8. Done. It got executed successfully. Okay. So now if you observe this, if I re-execute this, you will not have any constraints. Okay. I'll re-execute this. F8. Done. There are no referential constraints available on my table. Now I'll try to do delete. Now it should allow me to what? Delete, because there is no foreign key relationship between the tables. Okay. So see once again, this is my department table. We have 10 here. Employee table, we have two employees with department number what? 10. Okay. So let me try to delete. It should allow me to what? It should allow me to delete the record from what department table without disturbing employee table, because there is no link between the two tables now. Okay. So let me execute this. F8. Done. Rows affected is what? 1. Done. It got executed. Let me refresh the department table. I'll refresh. Yes, 10 got deleted, and employee table data remains same because there is no so and so. So this is the concept of what? Foreign key relationship. Any questions, please ask me. On delete cascade, on delete restrict. If I don't use any addition, on delete restrict or on delete cascade at the time of creating the foreign key, the default behavior is on delete restrict. So I'll just summarize. The purpose of creating the foreign key relationship between the two tables is to maintain the data consistency. In HANA database, if you want to create the foreign key relation between the two tables should have at least one logically related field. I mean, the two table fields, okay, should have what? Same data type. The field names need not be what? Same, and the purpose of the field should be what? Same. When I say purpose here, in both the tables we are capturing what? Department number. Okay. So once a foreign key relationship is established in the two tables, the system will maintain what? Referential integrity. So if it is on delete cascade, what happens? Whenever the parent record is deleted from the parent table, all the corresponding dependent child records gets deleted from the child table, that is foreign key table. If it is on delete restrict, whenever we try to delete a parent record from the parent table, it checks whether any corresponding dependent records are available in the child table. If they are available in the child table, it will not allow us to delete the parent record from the parent table. And to check the constraints defined in the table, we use a system view called as constraints. To check the referential constraints defined in the table, we use a system view called as referential underscore constraints. Okay. It is always recommended not to define the constraints at the time of creating the table. It is recommended to define the constraints at later point of time by using the statement what? Alter and what? Add constraint, so that we can propose our own constraint name, so that it will be easily manageable. Done. Any questions, please ask me. Done. So it requires practice. While listening it will look simple, but again the problem is, when we go to the what? Advanced HANA development like AMDP, ADVC, CDS views, procedures, all those things, again we should not focus on these things. You are expected to be strong. The mistake we'll do is, we'll try to think of advanced things without knowing the basics. Okay, so be strong in basic, then you can play with the advanced things. Done. So tomorrow we'll see the other concepts in this native HANA development. And I've shared the vendor details yesterday to everyone, I believe. Okay, so if you are interested, you can contact them. They'll provide their server on the rental basis, so you can start accessing their server. Okay, done then. So I'm winding off. We'll continue tomorrow if there are no questions for today. Chalo, fine.